Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the Breslov Parsha series. This week is Parshat Naso. Well, in Eretz Yisrael, it's Parshat Naso because we have Shavuos just one day on Friday. And you lucky people in Chutz La'aretz have Shavuos 2 days, Friday and Shabbos. But that means that Shabbos by us is a regular Shabbos, and we have the regular Torah reading, which is Naso. You guys in Chutz La'aretz are being pushed off Nosoi till the following Shabbos. Okay, so first we'll talk about Nosoi. Nosoi has the obligations of Kos, Gershon, and Merari in the Mishkan, carrying the items and whatnot. And then there's a law to that anyone who is impure should be sent out of the camp in an isolated place. And then there's the laws of a wanton woman, Sota. Then there's the laws of the Nazarite. And then you have Birchas Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim. And following that, you've got the 12 different sacrifices that were offered by the presidents of the tribes on the day that the Mishkan was consecrated. Well, anyway, one for each day. 12 tribes, each president of a tribe brought his sacrifice on a separate day. 12 tribes, 12 days of Nisan. So that's the Parsha of the week. And we start with the Levium, how many there were to bring the work of the Mishkan, disassemble it when they had to move through the desert, reassemble it, and so on. The thing is, Reb Nosson writes that, take a look, the Mishkan had the laws like the Holy Temple. It's a great place. Such sanctity. It had the ark, it had the menorah, it had the table. It was the most sanctified of places. The Shekhinah, God's presence, God's divine presence rested on the Mishkan. Right? But you know what happened? The Jews were traveling through the desert, and they couldn't stay in one place. So they disassembled the Mishkan, and they reassembled the Mishkan. You can disassemble such sanctity, and you could reassemble it elsewhere. Yes. Right? Wherever you go, you could take the Shekhinah with you. You can carry the symbols, you can carry the articles, and you can reassemble it. And that's what a person's life is like. It's a journey. You're going from one place to the next place. And a lot of things can happen on that way. Even if you live in one neighborhood and you stay in one neighborhood and you get out of your house, you go to work, you come back, whatever the case might be. But this whole idea is that life is not stable. Is God? Definitely, yes. He's definitely stable. And he could be with you wherever you are. If you have to move and change things in your life, go ahead. But just remember that God is with you. Hashem is always there, or as that song goes, Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is always everywhere, and he is. So the idea is that if you disassemble, life becomes crazy, disassembled. you can reassemble. Just make sure that you know that Hashem is with you. If Hashem is with you, you could always reassemble. Now, the next part of the Parsha moves on to those who became impure. And Chazal say, Medrash, I think Rashi brings it, I don't remember, but take a look at the Jews. They stood at Sinai, and everyone was healed. Nobody was impure. But once they made the golden calf, impurity set down. Impurity came into the thing. Idolatry, golden calf, not just a golden calf. The Gemara says that someone who is arrogant, it's like he serves idolatry. The Gemara says elsewhere, someone who is an angry person, it's like idolatry. So there's idolatry in a lot of places. The minute that you start working with these different parts of idolatry, then you're automatically, in a sense, impure. And that's what the Torah is telling us. You don't want to go away from the Mishkan. You don't want to be sent out of the camp, right? Watch yourself so that you don't bother getting involved with impurities, with idolatry, with arrogance, with anger. I saw a very nice thing. Anger is but one letter away from danger. They're spelled the same. Danger has a D at the beginning. Anger is danger, very dangerous. The next parts of the Parsha are the Sota, the laws of a Sota, a wanton woman. And the Gemara says quite openly, Rashi brings it into Parsha, that the woman is suspected of doing something immoral. She has to be brought to the temple to be tested. But the Talmud says clearly, maybe the woman did something immoral, but if she did, then so did the man. He gets the same punishment that she gets. If you're going to go into immorality, you're going to find out that there's a lot of, like a seven-headed snake, right? Something that branches out into all different areas, right? It's not just the woman who's tested, it's the man too, right? Now the Zohar says, what is this test? I mean, it's suffering. It's kind of suffering. And this is the test of the Jewish nation who are considered that woman by Hashem. Are we faithful to Hashem? Are we faithful? So then we don't have to worry about it. We'll be tested. And there'll be bitterness. There will be bitterness, as we see from our time in exile. Or even today, we're living in the land of Israel. Look how many rockets are shot at us. Look how many people get stoned and hurt, killed and whatnot. There's bitterness. It's our test during the exile whether we remain true to Hashem or not. Baruch Hashem, many thousands, hundreds of thousands, I would say millions of Jews have their mettle tested by Hashem, and they come through beautifully. They come through proudly. And there are others, never. It's just too much. They fall away. They don't even know what they're all about. They're Jews, just like you and me. They're very Jewish, just like you and me. Right? I'm no better than them. But there's a test of time, and not all of them stand up to that test of time. I hope that I will be able to, but that's what the story is all about. That's the story of the Sota. The Zohar says that the Jews will be tested like the Sota. And then there's the Nazarite, who decides he wants to be a zealot and give his whole life to God. Right? He can't become impure. He can't drink wine. No addictions. Right? He has to let his hair grow, like Samson, like Shimshon. Right? But the Gemara says he's actually a sinner. He's setting himself off on a path that dictates holiness and sanctity, and he's called a sinner. Why? Because he disallowed himself from drinking wine. There's a certain pleasure that people could have in this world, not just drinking wine, but there are pleasures in this world that are permitted. If they are permitted, take them. But you can't, right? So he wanted to put himself off on a course where he serves Hashem. He's disassociated with the pleasures of this world. Yerushalmi says, the very end of Kedushin, that if a person has an opportunity to taste a good fruit or a good drink or whatever it may be, and he denies himself, he's going to have to pay a price for it. Yeah, he has to pay a price for it. Why? Because God created beautiful, wonderful, delicious things in the world, and you're supposed to be able to take it, make a blessing, thank Hashem for it, and partake of it. If you don't do that, you abstain. Maybe it's something you don't like, you don't have to do it. But if it's a nice looking thing, a sweet fruit, peach, plum, a cherry, whatever it might be, take it, make the bracha, right? And have pleasure. The final part, well, there's the Birchos Kahanim, which the Medrash has many pages on what these blessings are. Yivarecha Hashem, Hashem will bless you with money. V'yishmerecha, he'll also guard your money so that you don't lose it. What good is having the money if someone takes it away? Whether it's the thief or it's the IRS or whatever it may be, right? Same thing, really. But they take it and they misuse it, but it's your money, and they take it. So Hashem blesses us that what we have, we should keep and use it well. That's the most important thing. The last part of the Parsha are the 12 sacrifices that each of the presidents of the tribe brought. You'll notice in the Chumash that each president brought the exact same thing. The exact same sacrifice was brought by every president. But, the Medrash explains, Medrash Rabbah and Midbar, that every one of the sacrifices had a different meaning. Amazing. 12 exact type of sacrifices, and each one had a separate meaning. Each president of the tribe, right, brought these animals, these sacrifices, all to benefit his own tribe. His own tribe. So that Yehuda brought something, Yisachar brought something, Zvulun And the rest of the tribes, they all brought something that meant something else to each one individually. So we all put on tefillin, let's say, or we put on tzitzis. We keep Shabbos, we make Kiddush, we light Hanukkah candles. It's almost Shavuos. Each one will do their devotion on Shavuos. And it all looks the same. What are we, clones? Are we clones? No, we're not. What are we? We're individuals. Each one of us does what they can for the benefit of themselves and their tribe, their family, their neighborhood, their community, and so on and so forth. The idea is that even if things look the same, they're not. Don't ever judge each person, they have to be like me. No, no. Each one has his own meaning. Each one has his own. There's a guideline, the Shulchan Aruch, the Torah. Follow the guidelines. But what you have in your mind is sanctified. It's sanctified to the point that it gets written up in the Torah as the same thing as everybody else, but it means something entirely different to every single person. May Hashem help that we recognize our individuality, that we recognize that we are separate entities, we are separate people, and we do the best that we can according to the strengths and the weaknesses that I have, and with that we'll all be able to bring everything to perfection. Amen, be amen. Have a wonderful Shavuos, have a wonderful Shabbos. Everything should be good in your lives. Amen.